You are listening to the Two Writers Walk Into a Bar podcast. In every episode, our goal is to help, inspire, and celebrate authors' journey to publication by reading and critiquing query letters, then tackle a writing topic we hope you find helpful. Hey, welcome back to Two Writers Walk Into a Bar. Hey, Ken.
Hey, what's up?
Oh my gosh, it's been forever.
I know. Feels like
We're
it's been forever.
we are back, guys. We're so sorry. You know what? It was I think the last time I recorded was in November, and the holidays are nuts. The holidays are crazy for me. I don't know about you, Ken, but the
Yeah.
holidays are nuts for me. I have my daughter's birthday right in there, and my husband's birthday. It's just crazy for me.
Yeah. Same here. Yeah, it's a crazy
Yes.
time for everybody.
Yes. So we took a little break, and we took a little, I don't know, a little not a vacation. I just certainly didn't go anywhere, but
Yeah.
we took a little break. But we're back, guys, and happy New Year's 2024. I can't believe it's another year and I'm not agented. Just kidding.
I know, right?
On January 1st, I was like, another year has gone by and I'm still not agented. Great.
I know. I'm coming up on 4 years now.
Yeah, we won't talk about that for me. But anyway,
Yeah.
but I'm glad to be back. I'm glad to connect with you again, and hopefully this year will be a better year. I'm lucky if I'll probably get 2 books written this year to query. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But what are you drinking?
Well, you'll never believe it, but
Okay.
Moab
well,
the Grand.
well, same here. My same
Uh,
beer.
There you
Cheers. Here you
go.
go. Happy New Year, by the
Happy New
way.
Year. Absolutely. It was either this or Corona, but the Corona was warm, so I was like,
Oh no, no. Can't
yeah,
do warm beer. No.
no. So,
Yeah. But anyway, so yeah, welcome back, guys. I'm glad to be back. We have a little bit of a different show today for you guys. We're still gonna do our regular where we do a query and we read first pages. Being that it's the beginning of the year, a lot of people aren't ready to query, and agents are just now getting back into the office, I think. So I know that over Christmas, over the month of December, agents were working because I got a bunch of rejections.
oh yeah. Yeah.
They were probably going through that slush pile. The new year was coming. They knew like more queries are coming. But I tell you what, in the month of December, I was just getting a lot of rejections on the queries I sent in like October, I think. So I was like, oh,
Yeah.
that's good. It's nice to know they're going through their slush pile.
So, big question, the current book you were writing, how is it coming?
So I knew you were going to ask me that. Hey, writer friends, querying is hard, and putting together a query letter is even harder. We want to help. Send us your query letter and first 3 pages to our email at twowritersinabar@gmail.com, and we'll read your query on air and give feedback on your first pages. And don't forget to tell us where we can find you on social media so we can share it with all our listeners. We want to help, inspire, and celebrate with you on your writing journey.
I had
Today, I
to.
actually okay, so I gotta tell you guys, I haven't really written that book. I wrote myself into a bit of a corner, not really a corner, more like a wall. I kind of hit the wall with this book, and I've been trying to figure out what the heck is wrong. What did I do wrong in this book? And so, of course, I didn't do any writing in December. Not gonna lie, I wanted to, I didn't. Oh, actually, I lied. I wrote a short story that I'd submitted, but other than that, I did not write in my novel, my current whip that I'm doing, because I couldn't figure out what the heck is wrong with this book. So finally, the last couple days, I've been listening to podcasts, listening to agents, and I think I figured it out. So today was going through, I have like 29,000 words written in this book, guys. And I stopped because I was just like, I don't know, it just was not, I knew it was something wasn't right. And it turned out that I was fucking up the my character arc.
Mm,
It was not there. It was not, it was nowhere there, and I was focusing too much on the premise, and, because my stories are more character driven, Ken, I don't know if you are more plot driven or more character driven, but because I write for the young adult market, they tend to like character driven stories. So,
yeah.
the stories I write they're pretty heavily on that character arc. And so I kinda had this, like, epiphany, I don't know, I guess, that my book was relying too heavily on the premise, and I wasn't bringing that character arc along, and so now I'm kind of going back and filling in where I need to fill in
Yeah,
before I start getting into the promise of the premise. So
that makes sense.
so today I didn't do much writing as I was kind of just going in and making sure that I was hitting that character arc, make sure I was setting it up so that you can sort of see where it's, hopefully you can get an idea as the reader will get an idea of where that arc is going to fully go, whatever. But
Yeah,
so what about
that's
you?
cool.
How did you do in your whip?
Not great, obviously. December, I don't know. It's so busy and so much crap going on and so much stuff
Yeah.
to do, and
Yeah.
and it's snowing like a sumbitch here, so like I'm
Mm,
out shoveling all the time. I don't know. I got lots of excuses. I wrote a little bit in it. I hit 39,000 today.
nice. All right. Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So about the
That's not
halfway
bad.
point.
I'm
No.
10,000 words behind you.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm finally starting to get back in the groove,
Yeah.
especially after I got some really good feedback from an agent. Instead of a form
Yes.
letter, they actually wrote back to me and gave me some advice.
That is
So
so oh my god, so invaluable, I swear,
it's
that's
invaluable,
amazing.
yes. And
Oh
so,
my
yeah,
god.
I've just been going back and re-editing my first whip that I ever wrote.
Mhm,
And it's a whip now because I'm going back and fixing things and
yep,
toying with it. And then
mhm,
so I've been doing that and then writing 1,000 words a day for
nice,
the last
alright.
week. So I'm getting back in the swing of things.
Yeah, I feel like, I've definitely feel like I mean, I was starting to plot out this new book idea that I had, and I just can't get it right. I don't know what it is. So I decided to just kind of pump the brakes on that and focus on what I have, especially now that I know that I'm pretty sure I know what's wrong with this damn book. But anyway,
Yeah.
but that's great. I'm glad to hear that. Sounds like we're both starting. Today was the day that
Yeah.
we're working on it.
Yes, and I have like 5 or 6 new really freaking cool ideas that I'm excited to fucking
Oh, yeah,
get
that's good.
started on.
Well, I will tell you that I knew you were gonna ask me that question today, and I knew we were recording today, so I was like, "I need to get my
Yeah.
shit together." Ken's gonna be like, "What
Yes,
did you do?"
I will.
You
And
guys
yeah,
I
go
was
ahead.
gonna say just get yourself a critique partner because honestly, if I didn't have this recording with Ken, I probably wouldn't have pushed myself today, and maybe I would never finish that book. You really do need someone who's gonna hold you accountable to your work, and I know I can say that Ken is that for me. So, get yourself a critique partner.
Yeah, they're super helpful. Find a good
Yes.
one. They're super helpful. But yeah, and
Yeah,
I
you're gonna have to go through some bad ones. Just go through the slush pile and get rid of those.
and also my struggle with the genres where I was kind of locked into this genre and I found a way to lock all the genres together into one big
Oh, nice.
universe and I'm really excited about that. I just figured it out like a half hour ago,
Oh,
maybe
that's
45 minutes,
great. Yeah.
and I was
That's
giddy about it.
great.
So yeah, I was
Yeah.
stoked.
No, that's all good. I'm so glad. It's
Yeah.
always so fun when that joy of your writing comes back. Like, I'm not gonna lie, at the end of the year, November, December, things start to kind of like wane for me because I get so busy with the holidays and everything, with the family and stuff. But then once that's over in January, I find like feel like, okay, I'm coming back. I'm like a phoenix rising out of the ashes.
Exactly.
I'm like, I got another year to query. Ah.
Yep, exactly.
But
So
anyway, all right.
I have one
So
more question before we get on to the
yes.
next thing. What are you
Yeah.
reading right now?
I am reading Gods and Monsters. It's the third book in the Serpent and Dove trilogy. So it's a
Okay.
YA fantasy romance. Yeah.
And who
Yeah.
writes that?
Shelby Mahurin.
Okay.
Yeah,
Interesting.
it's the Serpent and Dove, because she has a new book that came out that follows that same world and one of the characters,
Yeah.
and it's a vampire book, and I bought that book, and I wanna read it, but I need to finish this 3rd book from the previous
Oh,
trilogy, so
okay.
I'm trying and she's a thick one, she is thick, let me tell you, but I'm like, "I gotta do
Nice.
it." What
Oh, yeah,
about you?
that's
What are you
awesome.
reading?
2 things, audiobook I'm listening to Robin Hobb,
Mhm,
uh, The Ship
one of your
of
faves?
Magic. Yes, I love
Yep.
Robin Hobb, she's amazing. It's, the first book in the Live Ship Traders trilogy. It's
Okay,
all in her world, the realm of the Elderlings, but this is, a totally different character from the first series I read
okay,
with
mhm.
Fitz, so that's what I'm doing that, and then I'm reading Between Two Fires by Christopher Buehlman right now.
Oh, nice. Okay. All
That
right.
skeleton's cool as fuck too.
Hell yeah, it
Uh,
is. Is
yeah.
Robin Hobb, would you say she's similar to, Brandon Sanderson? Her
Yeah, she's the
yeah.
queen of fantasy. Yeah,
Yeah, I was
for
gonna say
sure.
because when you talk about some their stories, it sounds similar. That's cool.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, I like
awesome.
that. Oh, right on, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good to keep reading, guys. I will say, in December, I read 2, books. I think I finished a book that I was trying to finish last year, got that finished, and read 2 more. Because I realized that I read 3 books last year. I am ashamed to say
Mm.
that I read 3 books, and I know I don't you don't need to read, like, a plethora of books, but you should be reading, and I
Yeah.
will say for the most part of last year, I really wasn't reading that much because I was just trying to, like, trying to write, and between working and writing, my reading time has fallen flat. But this time I'm like, "Okay, I need to do better with my reading. I need to keep reading." There's so many good books
Yeah.
out there, and we
And I'm
should be reading the
yes,
debut authors because that's what, publishers that's what they're selling.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm trying to rush through this book because I'm dying to start reading this. I just got it.
Oh, nice, okay.
In Lieu, The
Oh,
Grace of Kings. It's supposed
I
to be
haven't heard that
one of the
one.
best fantasy series, so
Is it really?
yeah,
Oh, did that
The Dandelion Trilogy, Dandelion Dynasty, something like that?
I'm not sure. Did that come out is that, like, a couple years ago or a year ago? Look, I
Yeah,
can't tell.
a little more than that, I
Okay,
think.
nice.
Yeah, but I'm really excited to read that. Last thing, my daughter got me a bookmark, and I'm absolutely in love with it.
Let's see it.
It is a leather puppy,
Oh
and
my
it's
god,
made out of leather.
that's cute. Oh,
Isn't that cute
that
as
is
shit?
yes, that's very, very cute. I love
I
it.
fucking love it.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's cute.
so
So your new bookmark
alright.
this year, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Nice. All right. Yeah, I didn't get any books this year, but I for Christmas, but I went and bought books after when they had that big sale.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, so I
I
bought
don't
like
blame
3
you.
books. Yeah. I gotta wait for the sales, you know what I mean? I am a bargain
Yeah.
hunter.
Oh, and I'm gonna keep bugging you. I'm gonna be like, "Read the books I sent you. Read Mistborn.
I
Read
know I will. I
Gunslinger."
listen, last year was about I don't know. I don't know. I need to I told myself that I need to do a schedule for myself. I'm gonna write in the morning, I go to work, and I plan to read in the evenings when I
Yeah.
can and read a little bit on my days off. But anyway, so today, guys, I kind of gave this thought, and I'm dragging Ken along with it because he has to. No, just kidding.
I don't
He
mind.
doesn't have to. No, but I just thought so I am a visual learner. I learn by examples. If you give me examples, I can understand something a lot better than if you're just telling me, right? So and writing it's a difficult thing to do, which is why not everybody can finish, a lot of people start writing a book and they don't finish because it is hard. What we're
It is.
doing is difficult. And adding on to trying to be traditionally published, it's even more difficult
Yeah.
because, otherwise, we would just, quit or self-publish. I don't know. Not that self-publishing isn't hard, but I'm just saying it's to
Yeah.
get for that traditional publishing, it's a lot harder to get your story right. So
For
I
sure.
thought what Ken and I both talk movies. We love movies. I know this isn't like a movie channel. This is about writing, but like we've said before, movies and books, they go hand in hand. Their stories are just 2 different mediums of storytelling.
Yeah.
One's visual, one you're reading, and you have to use your own, imagination essentially for a book, right? But, the thing about movies is that they use a lot of the same things that we use in writing. So and what I was talking about is, Save the Cat. And there's other I mean, obviously, there's other story structures like the hero's journey, and we will go over that as well. There's movies that follow the hero's journey that we can talk about. So if you're more of that, if you enjoy that story structure over Save the Cat or anything else, we'll go over that too. With this won't be in every episode. This will just be an occasional episode where we might just kind of mix things up. We'll have our regular episode where we have our query letter, we give our critique, and then we tackle a writing topic. And then on occasion, we're going to have an episode like this where we're going to talk about a movie and we're going to break it down by the Save the Cat beats. So, and I'll go over the beats so you kind of remember. So if you're not familiar, you'd be like, well, what is that? What does that mean? And so at least you're not going to be lost. Oh, I actually forgot. Oh my gosh, we have a really neat update. Ken, we helped an author. If you guys remember, if you've been listening to our podcast for a minute, we helped an author. Her name was Jessica Kay. She sent in her query letter and her first pages, and we gave our critique. And I think you can find her critique on episode 8, which is part 2 of Stephen King's On Writing that we did, I think back in October. She got a publishing contract and she emailed us and thanked us for helping her with her query letter because she was able to get a publishing contract. So, congratulations, Jessica. We're really excited for you. We're so glad
That's
that we were
awesome.
able to help you, and that she gave us a thanks. That was really cool. I just thought I was really neat to get that email, and I was like, "Why, that's really cool."
That's
Hey,
super fucking cool, yeah.
yes. So congratulations, Jessica. And when your book comes out, hit us up. Let's we'll talk about it. We'd love to hear all about it. So
Hell yeah.
if you can't remember what her story was that she sent in, it's episode 8. So it's just a few episodes. This is episode 12. So it's just a few episodes back, and it's the part 2, Stephen King on writing. So anyway, check that out. Listen to our critique. And again, if you are a querying writer, feel free to send us your query letter and first few pages. It's free. We don't charge. I was in a Facebook group and they're like, is this free? I was like, yeah, it's free. We don't
Yeah,
charge.
no.
All right. So we're going to talk today. We're going to talk about Die Hard. Okay. First of all, I just want to ask you really quick. Is Die Hard a Christmas movie or not?
Absolutely.
Yes. Oh, thank
100%.
God. Okay,
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Because I
Absolutely.
agree. I agree 100%. Like it takes place during a fucking Christmas
It's a
party.
Christmas party at an office building.
And there's like Christmas music and
Yeah.
there's like the Santa hat on the dead guy
And snow.
and snow at the end.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, the soundtrack is Christmas. Yeah, it's definitely a Christmas movie,
It's
guys.
a
And if
Christmas movie.
you don't think so, you're wrong. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. You lose.
You're wrong, okay, guys? It's a
Game
Christmas
over.
movie.
Game over.
But I mean, no, it's not technically Christmas. It's January, whatever. But I figured Die Hard number one, it's an old enough movie that most of you have seen it. I hope if you haven't, I'm really sorry, but you need to go watch it.
Yeah, it's the best action movie ever made.
Yeah, if you love action, but even if you don't, I mean, if you wanted to see I mean, we're basically gonna spoil this movie, guys. Okay, so I
Yeah.
just want to say too that whatever movie that we talk about on these episodes, we're gonna spoil it.
Yeah.
But this movie's old enough to you're not like, hey man, like it's still out in the
It
theaters, don't spoil it. Yeah, you can rent that on. I got the
yeah.
DVD, but I mean, you can rent it. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah. It came out in the '80s. It'll be alright.
yeah, yeah.
If you haven't seen it
Okay,
yet.
Yeah, like, I don't know what you're doing, but yeah. So, let me grab this really quick. I have my Save the Cat, writes a novel that I wanna just kinda bring up really quick. So this is the book that we're talking about. If you don't know what we're talking about, it's written by this one's written by Jessica Brody, but it's based on the Save the Cat makes a movie. I forget who the author is. I apologize, but essentially it's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's just one is for movies and the other is for books, but it's pretty much the same. So so again, just a little spoiler warning. If you haven't seen Die Hard, go watch it. Come back and listen to this. If you've seen it, great, welcome. All
Yeah.
right. So one of the beats, Save the Cat, there's 15 beats in Save the Cat. And this basically what this guy said, what the reason why he came up with this book was he had watched all these movies and he found a lot of similarities that they all had these same things in the movies. Like they all
Yeah.
had the same, he just kind of noticing like, oh, this is really similar. Like, oh, they had the same thing in this movie, in this movie. And so this is kind of like he just sort of came up, he sort of like caught on to it and put it in a book. So there's 15 beats. Okay. I'm just going to go over them quickly, but as we go through the movie, I will explain what each beat is supposed to do. But just for now, I'm just going to give you the beats. The beat one is the opening image. Then two is theme. Three is setup. Four is catalyst. Five debate. Six is break into two. Seven is the B story. 8 is fun and games or promise of the premise. 9 is midpoint. 10, bad guys close in. 11, all is lost. 12, dark night of the soul. 13, break into 3. And then 14, the finale. And then 15 is the final image. So what this guy is basically saying is a lot of these movies follow this. I happen to know that Disney does follow the Save the Cat. So even if you go and watch a Disney movie, you're gonna see a lot of these beats. You're gonna see them all, essentially.
Yeah.
So if we're talking about Die Hard, if you're familiar with the story, you're gonna know exactly what we're talking about. So I'm not gonna go into too much explanation about the movie because I'm gonna be going on the fact that you've seen this movie as many times. I've seen this movie like I don't know how many times, like 100 times maybe. I don't know. I love this movie. I had a mad crush on Bruce Willis, so this was like the movie that I watched a lot.
Yes, and Professor Snape pretends to be a German terrorist.
Yes, Professor Snape, Alan Rickman is in
I
this
love Alan Rickman.
movie, and
Yeah,
honestly, oh my god, to me, he really makes this movie. Okay, he makes
he
this movie.
does.
He plays a fantastic villain.
One of the
Um,
best of all time on the screen.
yeah, yes, practically, he's yes, but Professor Snape is playing a villain. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so the opening image according to the book is it should fall in your manuscript. It should be between obviously 0 and 1% of your book, okay? And basically what your opening image should do is it provides a quick before snapshot of your hero and their world. So before the thing that fucks everything up for them, this is how we see them. So in Die Hard, we get this opening image of John's plane is landing in Los Angeles,
Yep,
and I believe he's coming from New York.
yep.
Yeah. So basically, we see him land. We see him on the airplane, and he's kind of like a little bit nervous. He's a little nervous on the airplane, and the guy next to him tells him to take off his shoes and socks when he gets somewhere with the rug, and make fists with his toes, right? And he's kind of like, okay, whatever.
Yeah,
So kind of like this is the opening image. We're getting to know our character. He's coming from New York. He's a little nervous of flying, and he gets this little piece of advice that shows up later, unfortunately for him. And not in a
unfortunately.
good way, like,
No.
not in a good way, right? I mean, he
Yeah.
tells him to take off his shoes and his socks, and, at the moment when you're watching this, you're like, "Yeah, that sounds really nice.
Yeah.
That sounds nice. That's actually like,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah."
Yeah, sure.
Alright, so and that's right away, guys, okay? So just think about it in your book. So as we're going through these beats, what I want you to do is to think about your story. Think about what you're writing and then ask yourself, do you have these scenes in your book? And if you don't, then just go back and add it, no big deal. Just go back and add it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no big deal. Okay, so the second beat is the theme. The theme should be about 5% mark. And basically, the theme is stated. So what that means, you guys know what a theme is. If you don't, it's basically the story, the lesson in your story, whatever, right? The hero's need or life lessons somehow are hinted up front, usually by a secondary character. Okay, so basically, what your hero needs to learn at the end of the story. Now, I have to say, before I should have said this before we started. Sometimes a movie may not have all the beats. I had a hard time with this one for Die Hard. I really couldn't quite figure it out, and I went and did some research to see if anybody else had figured it out, and it was pretty tough because it's not really stated. The only thing that I could think of, and I don't know, I would like to ask your thoughts too, Ken, but
Yeah.
and it's not really a theme like per se up front, but you kind of get it is when he's in the limo with Argyle. So he has a limo, picks John is going to go see his wife, right? Who lives in California,
Estranged.
his estranged wife, yes.
Yeah.
And her company sends essentially a limo driver and limo to pick him up from the airport. So he gets in the limo, and the character's name is Argo. He's fantastic. Love him. He's really funny.
Great character.
Yes, but he asks him, like, "Are you married? Like, what's your history? Blah, blah, blah." And he's like, "Yeah, I'm married. Yeah." And then he's like, "But your wife lives in California and you live in New York." And he's like, "Well, what's up with that?" Like, I mean,
Yeah,
and he's just like, "Oh, well, I'm a cop and I'm working cases and I can't just leave and I love my job, whatever, blah, blah, blah." And
yeah,
she got a job offer in California and Argyle's laughing and he's basically saying like, "Oh, so basically you didn't think it was going to work out and you thought she was going to come back to you." He's like, and John McClane says something like, you're very accurate," or I forget what he says. He tells him like basically like, "Yeah, you hit the nail on the head."
yeah,
So I know it's not like the theme as stated, but I feel like maybe it could be a theme for John McClane where he needs to learn like your wife has a whole career in life out in California. For me, I felt like he needed to like, I don't know, swallow your pride a little bit and, figure out what you need to figure out what you want to do and stay with her or not, because clearly she's not coming back. Like,
yeah.
she's in California. She's been there. I forget how many. I think it was like 6 months or 9 months. I forget what it was. I can't remember exactly. I should have wrote that down, but I didn't. So I don't know. I felt like that was the theme, but I could be wrong. I would like to know your thoughts.
Um, I think it's the same scene, same characters. I think
Mhm.
it's John McClane needs to learn that family is more important than his job. Basically, he needs to
Yeah.
prioritize his family. I think that's the thing there. I think that's the theme.
Yeah,
Is
because
that
he
your
does
family is
say
important.
yeah, because
Yeah,
he basically does say, like, he picked his job over
yeah,
following his wife to California.
and
Yeah,
kids,
and
which
kid that's right, they have 2 kids. Mhm.
yeah. So
Yeah. Yeah. So that theme, it didn't come from John McClane, it came from a secondary character that kind of caught on to what he needs to figure out. So, and maybe it's
there's
not only
also, sorry to interrupt. There's
it's
also
okay.
like the another thing is the sex roles where she's making a lot more money than he is, and that makes him
Mhm.
feel weird, is what I get from that scene also. So that's another part of it too, is that
And
she's
it's
making hundreds of thousands. Yeah,
yeah, but it's also, it's kind of like, you kinda have to read between the lines 'cause it doesn't come out, it doesn't come out
it,
at you.
it's
You
not
kinda have
direct.
right.
Yeah,
So you kinda have to, like, you're and we should be doing that and we're writing our book as well. You should be leaving things open for the reader to interpret and draw their own conclusions and draw up
yeah,
their own theories, because otherwise we're telling, right?
yeah. If you
So
tell them everything, they'll be like, "Fuck this manual. I don't of the
yeah, it's
story."
boring
Yeah,
and you're telling me everything. Let me figure because readers wanna figure if you think about your reader, you wanna figure it out. So
yeah,
so I kinda like that I mean, we both have 2 different interpretations and neither one of us are wrong, I don't think. It's just 2
no,
different interpretations, which is great.
yeah.
And you can think about that for your manuscript. Okay. So the third beat is the setup. And this one says it should be between 1 to 10%. And it's basically setting up the hero's life and status quo before everything changes and then show all your characters in Act One. Okay. So the setup, obviously, like we talked about, is John's trip in the limo with Argyle. Then he ends up arriving at the office party. And um, as he's arriving to the party, we're also seeing the bad guys show up to the party. So you kinda wanna introduce your characters, right?
Yeah.
The characters that are gonna show up, like, even the bad guys. We wanna see a little bit of that glimpse of what's happening, or at least get an idea of the bad guys. So
Or
in
at
that
least mention them, right?
yeah, yeah, so we're kinda, like, wondering, like, "Oh," whereas in movies, we're like, "Oh, something bad's gonna happen, the bad guys are coming." In the book, it's like, "Oh, that sounds ominous, that person sounds like they could be
Terrible,
the"
yeah, scary,
yeah,
yeah,
right, yeah, so, and that and that's a good I mean, that's, like, the first 10% of your book, so that's basically, like, that first chapter, essentially, or
yeah,
2 maybe 3 depending, but yeah. So it's a good chunk of you sort of setting things up. We're introducing your characters. We're just sort of seeing again a glimpse of their little life before shit goes down. Okay.
yeah,
So then the fourth beat is the catalyst, which this is the most important, I think, my own opinion. is important step, and this should be about 10% or earlier. This is the thing that disrupts the status quo with a life-changing event to your hero. Something has to go wrong. Something has to push them into a completely different direction than where the character thinks they're gonna go.
Yes. Also called
You
the inciting incident in
yes.
books.
Yes, called the inciting incident, the catalyst. This was basically the thing that this is where everything goes wrong. Shit's going down, man. And all of a sudden now they're spiraling and you're like, This is bad." And for the movie and Die Hard, the catalyst is when the bad guys crash the party. They
Yeah.
come in with their guns and they start shooting and they announce they are here. And they I don't remember if someone dies right away. I wish I watched this like a week ago. But what they do is they basically
They
arrive,
do.
they kill the security guard down at the bottom, at the very
Yeah.
bottom. They kill him straight away. They start setting up. You're getting an idea that it's clearly this is a sort of like a money job type of thing. They know that there's some money there in this big tower. And right away they kill the security guard. And so when they kill that security guard, these guys are bad because
Yeah.
they don't tie him up, they don't hold him hostage, they just shoot him.
Yeah. Yeah.
They just kill him. It's like, "Nope, we're not even gonna mess with you, we're not even gonna deal with you, you're dead." So,
Yeah.
for me watching that, I was like, "Yeah, these guys are serious. These guys are
Yeah.
gonna kill, and people are gonna die,
Yeah.
and they
You
don't
know
care."
right away. You
Y
know right away.
Immediately, you get that immediate sense, and so you think about that in your book. You think about especially when you're introducing your villain, have them do something just vile and despicable.
Yeah. Exactly.
I don't know, something to scare the shit out of your reader and your character.
Yeah.
So that's basically what that is, So once, and before that, like I mentioned before, John McClane, before the bad guys come in, he fucking takes off his shoes and his socks, and he's like rubbing the carpet like that guy told him. As the guys enter into the building and start shooting people, and he hears the gunshots and hears this, and he has to run and hide, and so he doesn't get a chance to like get his shoes. I don't know why that part always bugs me.
I know.
It's like, oh my god! It's like if he just would have had his shoes, but anyway.
If that dick on the plane wouldn't have said something.
I was just like, every time I watch it, I'm like, oh, it's so annoying. Okay, so the catalyst. Okay, so that's your inciting incident, something that has to go bad. That's gonna just really ruin shit for your character, and you need to have this, guys. Okay,
Yeah.
if you don't have this, if you're listening, you're like, well, I don't have anything like that. You need to rethink. But you probably do. I can't imagine that you don't. Okay, so the fifth beat is the debate. And that happens at the 10% to 20%. So the catalyst is at 10%. The debate is going to be at that time or a little after. And we need to see your hero, how they're going to proceed with this new life-changing event. Okay. So there needs to be a decision. They have to decide, are they going to get involved or not? And then like the why. So for Die Hard, John decides he's not going to get involved. He's a cop from New York, but he's not getting involved. Okay. So he is going to stay out of it. He's like, this is an LA cop problem. I'm from New York. I'm not going to get involved. I'm here with my family, whatever. So he tries to find a way to call the Los Angeles police. Okay. And he uses everything that he can to try to alert the authorities instead of being the hero himself. So that's the debate scene that we see in Die Hard. We don't really know much about John McClane at this point. So all we know is that he's a cop. Um, just because well, when I started watching this, Bruce Willis, I think, had already started in other action movies. I'm not sure, but we didn't know that he was going to be this action hero, and you don't know that when you're watching. You just think he's a cop from New York,
Yeah.
and he's a guy cop from New York with no shoes and socks, and no. I can't remember if he has a weapon or not. I can't remember if he has a gun.
I don't
I
think he
think I
could
think
bring
he
I don't
l
think he could bring it, could he?
I think he yeah, so he's like a cop with no gun and no shoes.
Or or maybe he did, I don't know.
I think that I just don't think he was able to get it because he kinda had to run out of the room that he was in very quickly.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, no socks, no shoes, caught from New York.
no gun, whatever. So, yeah,
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
so he decides, "I'm not gonna get involved." So that's the
Yeah,
debate that we see in Die Hard, and we do see him actively trying to get a hold of LAPD so that they can deal with this shit, okay? And then so that's the 5th, beat. The 6th one is break into, 2, and this should be at the 20% mark, and this brings your hero into the upside down world of Act 2, where they fix things the wrong way, but note that they don't have to leave, um, but should try something new. So, like, if you're writing a story, usually break into two means they leave their home and they're on a travel journey to another destination. Doesn't always
yeah,
have to be that way, but they should
no.
try something new, like a new relationship, a new job, or a new way to approach their life. So they need to be doing something that's completely different than what they were doing in the first part of your story. Okay.
But they usually
So
fail, right?
yeah, so it's like you where they fix things the wrong way. So that's where
Yeah,
they fuck it up. Okay.
yeah,
Your hero needs to fuck it up because that is
yes.
called agency. And that is really important to literary agents because they want to know your character's agency. They want to know that your character is making the wrong choices. Otherwise, they come across as boring and what we call, I believe, is called a Mary Sue character, and that's boring. Nobody wants to read that. That's every time they do something, it never goes wrong.
They do
Everything
it
goes right.
perfectly.
They do it perfectly. Boring. No, that's boring. There's no adventure in that. Who cares?
Ray
So,
from Star Wars.
oh god.
Dude,
Okay. Well,
Ray wait, Ray from Star Wars told Han Solo how to fix the Millennium Falcon. Okay, I'm done. Sorry. Han Solo! The Millennium Falcon! Alright, I'm done.
if you've been listening to this podcast for a while, you know that Ken's got beef with Ray.
I do. You tell Han Solo how to fix his ship.
Oh
Alright, I'm done.
my god. Okay, so in Die Hard, because that's what we were talking about.
Mhm.
We
Die
can
Hard,
break
Die
down
Hard.
Star Wars another day for sure.
We
But
will. That's a hero's
in
journey, blah, blah, blah.
yes, in Die Hard, Break Into Two is when okay, the first bad guy comes after John. John fights back. He's not trying to kill him, but the guy ends up dead. He ends up killing him. And
Yeah.
then John was able to take his gun. And what he does is he sends his body down the elevator as a warning, a base essentially announcing that he's in that building and he is against them and that they got an enemy now.
Well, that was
So
the second part though, right? Because he doesn't he kill the first guy, take his radio to call the police on the emergency channel on the radio,
no, I
and
think he
then
steals the radio
steal
first.
and then he throws the body out to land on Family Matters dad's car, cop car.
Right, but I mean, but like so yeah, but what he does wrong though is that so he
Yeah.
kills that guy, but then he announces that there's somebody there that's
Does he?
against them. But
Oh,
when
does he?
he yeah, because
Okay.
he takes that guy and he
Yeah.
puts a Santa hat on him, puts him in the office chair, puts him in the elevator. He goes downstairs and he has a
Now I
sign that
have a
he
machine gun. Ho ho ho. Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yes.
I just thought he alerted Carl. Oh, what's
Well,
his
no,
name?
so that's part of it. So yes, we
Okay.
do see him. He kills a guy.
Sorry, I'm
Okay.
fucking up your order.
No, no, that's okay. That's no, I'm just saying like that's what he does. When
Yeah.
the first bad guy comes after him, he fights him, then he kills. He's not trying to kill him at first, but then he does. But
Yeah,
then
yeah,
now
yeah.
he's in it. So now he's in it. Now he's like, well, I'm in it now. I killed this guy. I'm in it. And so he
Yeah.
basically made his choice now. Now he's involved.
Yeah.
So and then the seventh B is the B story. Should be about 22%, and that's the introduces a character who will somehow represent the B story theme, the B story or the theme, or to help your hero. So the B story for Die Hard is the
Carl.
friendship with yes with the Al, I think the other cop, the LA cop.
Al, the actor's name's Carl, isn't he? Or was that
Car
his
is it
name
Carl?
in Family Matters?
I
You
can't
know
remember, but
Urkel? He was the dad in
right.
Family Matters with Urkel. Was his
So I
name
thought his
Carl
name was
there?
I think it's Al.
It's Al. You're right, sorry.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. So
Yeah,
the B story character is basically the LA. So what happens is when John finally gets a hold of LAPD, okay, to alert them and tell them, hey, there's some bad guys here in the tower. There was Nakatomi Tower, whatever it's called,
Nakatomi Plaza.
Plaza. Yeah.
Yeah,
And he starts talking to him on the radio because he gets a radio and he's able to talk to this cop and they become friends,
yeah.
right? And he talks to him about family. He talks to him about like his wife. Getting ready to have a baby, and John recognizes that this is a good cop, and he's like, "What are you doing on the beat? Like, what are you? You're a good cop. You shouldn't be like patrolling the beat." He's like, "What'd you do?" And he opens up to him. He tells him, "Yeah, I accidentally shot a kid. It was dark, and I thought he had a gun." And so they put him back on the beat, and so he got a little bit of PTSD there. So
Yeah.
they build this friendship over CB radios. So Carl, now I'm calling him Carl.
Oh, sorry.
It's
I
okay.
did it. I did it. I'm
Al.
responsible.
Al and John start to just have this friendship. And so John has been communicating with him. And I think it's a good thing too, because John needed someone to communicate because he is all by himself as he's hiding from the bad guys. He's essentially hiding in this huge building as they're killing off people left and right.
Yeah.
And he needs an ally, and that happens to be Al. So that's true. That's the where we introduce, and before he talks to Al, we get that B story introduction of his character. We see him driving. They show us him driving in his car. He goes to, I think, 7-Eleven or some store like that, convenience store, and picks up a donut and
Ho-hos.
something, ho ho something,
I
yeah. And
think
he's
it's
like,
Ho-hos.
yeah, and he's like, "It's for my wife, she's pregnant." And this cop, hate to say, but he's a little bit on the chubby side. So of course the cashier's like, "Yeah, for your wife, okay, sir."
Yeah.
And
Yep.
he's like, you could tell he wants to tell him, "Fuck off."
Yeah.
But he doesn't, right? So we are seeing this, we're getting this introduction of this character, and we see right away he's a cop. We know right away he has a pregnant wife. We know right away he's like a pretty decent guy. He's not a bad
Yeah.
guy. He's just kind of like, mom, just patrolling, it's late, and he's hoping to like just be able to clock back out and go home, whatever, for the night. And then, he gets stuck in this whole situation with John McClane, because what John does is like can yeah, what Ken said earlier, because he calls, so they get Al to go inside. He goes to the building, he talks to the guy that's out front that's supposed to be the security guard, and he's
One
like,
of the
"Yeah,
terrorists.
everything." Yeah, he's one of the terrorists, and he's like, "Yeah, everything's fine." He's like, "I don't see anything wrong. I don't see anything." And so he's like, "Yeah, I don't know. It must be a wrong complaint or whatever." So he starts to leave, and John McClane's like, "No, no, what are you doing? What are you doing?" And so he panics and he sends one of the dead bodies out the window and falls onto the cop's car. And then that lets
And then
Al
he
know,
starts
like,
shooting.
starts
He
shooting
starts
and he
shooting.
knows. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Al backs over that embankment and, like, crashes his
Yeah. And he
car.
starts, that's when he starts calling the police, like, "Hey, we got,
Yeah.
yeah." So
Calling
that's
in
when
the
everything
cavalry.
goes. And so that leads us to the eighth beat, which is the fun and games, also known as the promise of the premise. And this should be between 20 to 50% in your manuscript. And basically, what the promise of the premise is, it delivers the promise of the novel, of what your novel is about. So when your reader picks up your book and they read that back part, you better deliver on what you're telling them this is about. Okay,
Yeah.
so it basically also should show how your hero is faring. Okay, in this new act of this new B story, and show them how they're faring. Are they succeeding, or are they losing? Are they having fun? Are they like they're floundering? Like what? We need to see what's going on with your character at the promise of the premise. So in Die Hard, the fun and games is basically anytime John has to fight a bad guy, times they're shooting, like him the once the bad guy once he makes the announcement that he's there, then
Yeah.
the guys start looking for him. They're starting to go seek him out. They're like, "This guy's hiding. We need to kill him. We need to
Yeah.
find out who is this guy that's terrorizing us." Because John just starts killing off the terrorists, essentially. Every
Yeah.
time he bumps into one as he's hiding, he kills them and takes their gun and their weapons or their C4, tries to get their shoes. For some reason, all these men have really small feet. I don't know why.
The detonators.
The detonators, yes, the detonators. Oh my god, that's a big deal. So
Yeah.
he starts as John is starting to kill these people, he's collecting their weapons, he's collecting the detonators, which Ken said is a really
Yeah.
big plot point for for the villain. And so that we kind of like see that happening. We see John going through that. It's, it's exciting. It's an action movie. I came here
Yeah.
to watch an action movie. There better be some action. And that your
Damn
readers, they
straight.
came here for a fantasy romance. There better be some fantasy romance.
There
If
better be some
you're
goddamn romance.
yeah, like, I mean, that's what the writers that's what you're
Yeah.
promising, I'm sorry, readers. That's what you're promising your readers, and you have to deliver. You gotta
Give it.
deliver because they're gonna be really disappointed and be like, "They said this book was about blah, 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 and I didn't get any of that. That was missing." They're gonna be really sad.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, terrible.
that's yeah, and I love the promise of the premise. And when I'm writing, that's my favorite part because I love doing all that fun stuff. That's like the fun
Oh, hell
stuff.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
like the car chase scene in the movie. Like that's fun.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. So that's where all the action is, where everything happens, and that's where your hero is either winning or losing. Things are going well or things are going really bad. Okay,
Yeah.
whatever. Okay, so then we get to the ninth beat, which is the midpoint. This is at 50%, guys. Okay, this is the middle of your story, and it needs to show whether your hero is having a false defeat or a false victory while at the same time raising those stakes. Okay, so in Die Hard, what happens is the villain, Hans, who we already said was Alan Rickman, Professor Snape, excuse me,
Yeah. Get it
he
right.
find he yeah, sorry, my bad.
No, I'm joking.
But Hans, Professor Snape, okay, finds out John's real name and job. So now
Fuck
so
you,
bef
Ellis. That's all
so
I'm saying.
before yeah, so
Sorry.
before when John during the promise of the premise, they're trying to find John and they're trying to figure out who is this guy? Who is this guy that's fucking up my plan, who's killing my people? Hans is pissed. He's like,
Oh, yeah.
"Who is this guy?" Okay?
Yeah.
So he finds out John's real name. He finds out he's a cop, okay? Because one of another, I guess you could say
Salesman.
villain, well, yeah, but who's happens to be
Bumbling good
flirting
guy?
not even a good I don't know, he's
He's
an
not a good
idiot.
guy. He's
Just
an
an idiot.
idiot, but he's a
He's
bumbling
a
idiot. I wouldn't say he's categorically bad. He's just a douchebag, right?
he is a
So
douchebag, yes. So,
yeah,
basically what they do is they pick up this guy, Al or no, Alice, uh, um, volunteers to
Ellis,
go
yeah.
help, to basically help the situation, and he's kinda got it out for John.
And he's a
We
high price salesman too, like, so he thinks he can
He thinks
smooze
he's hot
anybody.
shit. Yeah, he
Yeah,
thinks he can be like, "I got this, guys, leave it up to me, I
yeah,
got this." But he ends up fucking it up for John real fucking bad. Man,
real
he
bad.
really just fucks it up for John and Hans. By him doing that, he finds out that he's a cop, and he finds out his name is John McClane. And so now, and John, he's trying to save Alice and telling him to shut the fuck up because Hans has John on the radio as he's talking to Alice, and Alice is like, "John, just turn yourself in, just stop all of this, blah, blah, blah." And John's like, "Shut the fuck up, Alice. They're gonna kill you. Don't tell him anything because they're gonna kill you." And
Yeah.
then, of course, they do. They kill him. He's dead. They're like, "Thanks, we got what we needed.
Hans,
Bye.
OG.
Bye."
Yeah,
And we said, and as the viewer, we already know that Hans is gonna kill him because we saw how he killed the security guard and the owner of the company. He
Takayashi, right?
Yeah, he didn't care. He's fucking killed him. So, you already know when you're watching this, you're like, "Yeah, Alice is dead. He's
Yeah,
already dead."
yeah, he's fucked.
So yeah, he's fucked. He's dead, and yeah, he dies. And so, so that was a false that's a defeat for John, okay?
Yeah,
Because before for a while, he was able to get away with Hans out with not knowing who he really is and that he is a cop, right?
yeah,
So now he knows. Now he knows, and it's that's bad for John. John's like, "Fuck," that's really bad.
And then
So then
the other minor villain, right? The police chief also blames
so
him
the
for
the
Elma's
police
death.
chief and then the FBI comes, and they, of course, they wanna take control of everything, and they fuck it up, and
But the
yeah,
police
it's just
chief's like another minor villain for Al. It's
for
like
for Al and
and
for
kinda
John too.
and for
Yeah,
John
it's kinda
too, yeah.
jackass. But
Yeah,
anyway, so after the bad guys close in, which is what happened to John, then we have the next beat, which is the all is lost, and that should be about 75%, and that's basically your lowest moment for your character.
yeah.
So for or I'm sorry, did I skipped the bad guys close in.
It's my fault.
My bad.
All my blame.
No, 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 no. So I just finished with with the midpoint. Okay, so now the
Yeah,
10th, we're at the 10th beat. The 10th beat is the bad guys close in, and that should be between 50 to 75%. And basically, what that is provides a place for your hero to rebound after a false defeat or fall down after a false victory, all while the bad guys close in. So for Die Hard, the bad guys close in is when Hans goes up to the roof and John catches him. And Hans pretends to be a hostage as he escapes. So he kind of fools John and he tells him like, yeah, like, like, oh, don't shoot me. So all this time we've seen Hans with an accent, but when he sees John, he loses his accent and suddenly is American. And so
Bill Clay.
I'm sorry.
Bill Clay.
Yes.
He
Eh
reads it off the directory. It's brilliant that
mhm,
he has a name in mind. It's
yes. So Hans goes up to the roof and then John catches him, okay, but he pretends to be a hostage, okay, and then they get into a gunfight because John knows that he's lying once he's talking to him, he knows he's lying and he knows that it's Hans. And so
yeah.
then there's a gunfight, they fight, whatever, and John gets away, but Hans knows that he's barefoot. So this is where like, that whole barefoot thing comes into play. And so he has his guys shoot out all of the glass so that his feet will get cut whenever he
Shoot
tries.
the glass. Sorry.
Yes.
I'm
Yep.
reenacting.
Yeah, I love it, I love it. So, yeah, so, he knows who he is, he knows his name, he knows he's a cop, and he learns that he has no shoes, he's barefoot, and he just really fucks it up for John.
Oh,
So
yeah.
now they're shooting all this glass, and there's glass everywhere for John, and he's trying to escape, and he has nothing he could do. He has to run across that glass. He has to run across the glass, and he
Yeah,
cuts up
he
his
does.
feet, fucks up himself really bad.
Yeah.
So, and then we see kind of John like in the bathroom as he's trying to take the
Oh,
glass out, and he's
pulling the
on the
pieces out. Oh my
pulling
god,
the
what a
pieces
gory.
out, and he's talking to Al on the radio, and he kind of wants to quit. And that's the lowest. That's where we got B11, which is the all is lost moment. And that is like the lowest moment for your character. This is when your character is just like John is like, his feet are bloodied. He has no shoes. Hans knows his name. He knows he's a cop. The FBI decides to cut the power. Okay. And when he cuts the power, the bad guys, we see them get into the vault. But then not only that, we find out that um they find out that Holly is his wife. So
Yep.
now they know that he has his wife, that they have his wife
Yep.
as a hostage. So, it's like then but before John knows that, he's just kind of feeling bad for himself because he's feeling like a failure. His feet are all cut up. He's kind of like talking like lowly, he's talking like he wants to quit, whereas Al's kind of like, hey, don't talk like that. Don't say stuff like that, whatever, right? And then
Yeah.
that leads into the 12th beat, which is one of my favorites, my second favorite because I love the Catalyst, but I love this 12th one is the Dark Night of the Soul. The Dark Night of the Soul should be about 75 to 80%, and this basically shows how your hero reacts to the all is lost moment and how they eventually break through to a resolution. Okay,
Yeah,
so this is when we see them at their lowest. So for Die Hard, John gives up hope in the dark. He's bleeding, he's broken. He tells Al to give his last regrets to Holly. Like he's just like he
done.
can't. He's
Yeah,
done. Right? And that's it's a sad moment, and it's a sad moment for John, it's a sad moment for, Al too, because he's kinda like, "Hey, we're friends, don't do this." They're already
so you can fucking tell her
Just
yourself type shit, you
yes,
know?
yes. He's like, "Yeah, and I'm not gonna do that for you, you're gonna do it."
Yeah,
And then that goes into the 13th beat, which is you break into your 3rd act, which should be about 80%, and that's when your hero finally fixes things the right way. This is when
yeah,
things start to go well for them. So for, John McClane, it's when he finds out, that the top of the building is rigged to explode, and he realizes he still has to try to save everybody, and he
yeah,
has the detonators.
yeah.
He has those detonators at there or
Oh, no.
actually, I think he loses
No,
them.
Carl he
That's
loses
right.
them with the shoot the glass.
He lose them that's right, forgot.
Carl's the
Han
blonde
yes.
terrorist. That's where I'm getting the name probably,
Ah, okay, yeah.
I think.
But he knows that, he can, he's gonna try to save everybody. He's like,
Yeah,
"Okay, so, that he can get everybody off of the building. They can get everybody out of the building from the rooftop, I believe."
yeah.
So he
Well,
kinda
no,
he
he
take
knows they're gonna blow the roof. He
right.
saw the wiring and explosive, and they're putting all the people up to the roof because the FBI are flying in,
Right, so he wants
and he
to that's
needs to
right,
get
he's
them
trying to
off
get
the
them
fucking
down,
roof.
sorry. Oh my gosh, I got it
Yeah, yeah.
backwards, my bad.
No, you're good.
So yeah, he learns that it is about to blow up, they're just gonna kill all these people.
Yeah,
So he's like, "Okay, I gotta save them. I'm gonna get them out of here. I can save them. I could still do this."
yeah,
He has a solution. He's like, "I can still do this." And then that is where we see him helping. And then we go into the beat 14, which is the finale, which should be about 80 to 99%. And that's when all the problems are resolved. Okay, that were created in Act 3, or created in Act 2, are resolved. And it proves the hero has learned the theme and has been transformed.
yeah,
Now, for literary works and books, this is huge, guys. This is
yeah,
a big, big thing. I had an agent request a manuscript, read it, and declined because my character didn't go through an arc and didn't have enough agency. And she was just like, "I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to decline." I wanted to die because I was like, "What the fuck?"
yeah,
I didn't realize it's a big deal, and a lot of if you listen to other podcasts, we know there's other podcasts with agents.
yeah,
They do talk about that character arc. It's huge. It's a big, big thing. So this is where that arc comes into play. So for Die Hard, everybody gets their moment. McClane and Holly, they work together to out fight Hans. Argyle gets his chance to save the day from the evil geek. There's this geek there, and he's able to take him down. Al, the cop who went off, that was been helping John, he went off the streets because he couldn't shake the ghost of the kid he killed by mistake.
yeah.
So, and he couldn't pull. That's right, he couldn't shoot his gun, and he shoots down the last bad guy. He's able to finally do it, and we see that arc for him as well.
Carl, yeah.
Um, L. Yeah, he ends up
No,
killing Carl.
he kills Carl.
You got me so confused, bro. So
Han
yes, he
Solo, the Millennium Falcon. Alright, I'm sorry. I'm done. No, I'm sorry.
Oh my god. And then as a special, bonus, we see Holly punch the shit out of that annoying reporter that we've been watching throughout the movie who
Yes.
keeps
Yeah,
reporting all this shit. And he's the one who put her kids out on the news. He, like, brought her kids up, and
yeah,
she's
and
yeah.
was a dick to the housekeeper, threatening to call INS on her, and, like,
So we
just a
kinda
total douche.
So you kinda gonna wrap that up for your so if you have characters in your story, that you're showing besides your hero, maybe other side characters, it's good to give them a little, conclusion as well. We should see a little bit
Yes.
of that conclusion just so that the reader has that, like, everything was closed up tight and nice and neat, and they feel good when they finish your book. You should have
It's
that.
it's
It's
it's like braiding a cord and you got 3 loose ends at the end, you wanna tie all 3 of those ends up together,
yes.
each character. Sorry. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
you should. No, it's just it's pleasing for the reader, for the viewer. You get to see all these things come together, and you're like, yeah, that's cool. And
Yeah.
then the very last beat, you guys, is the final image, and this is basically at the 99%, 100%. It should be an after snapshot of your hero and their life to show how they've changed. And in Die Hard, we see John and Holly kiss in the limo, and they drive away from, and we think they're gonna go off to their be together again. Like, you get the
Yes.
picture, like, maybe they're gonna work through this and stay together.
Yeah.
So finally,
He learned the
he
lesson
learned
of family is more important than
he
work,
learned the lesson, and so he's gonna be with his
in my
wife.
opinion.
So we
Yes.
think. So we think.
So we
But
think.
so yes, if you've seen part 2, you know what I'm talking about. If you've seen part 3, you know what I'm talking about.
How about
Part 3 is
4? How
my
about 5?
Oh, yeah, all of 'em. Part 3 is my favorite because I love Jeremy Irons. He's just so cool, such a
Yeah.
cool villain, and that whole thing
That's
with the
Samuel L. on 3, right?
Yes,
Yes, I love
and because
Samuel.
I just love that whole, like, cat and mouse game that he puts them through. I don't know, I just think it's
Oh,
cool.
yeah.
But anyway, so that's the, basically, Die Hard, the Save the Cat beats. And like we said, you can apply this to your manuscript that you're writing right now. Ask yourself, like I said, if you have these beats. If
Yeah.
you don't have these beats, think about adding it, and then you'll know. I know for me, by watching a movie, now that I know these, when every movie I watch, I can kind of point out the beats. Like, oh, this is the catalyst, or oh, this is the second character that's going to be the one that's going to teach this character everything,
Yeah.
or whatever, right? Like, you can kind of, when you go and watch a movie, you're going to see these. As a writer, it's hard for me now to watch a movie for entertainment because I'm thinking of, like, all the beats. Like, I know what the next
Yeah.
beat's going to be.
Oh, yeah.
you
Exactly.
know? But yeah, so that, I hope that this was helpful to you guys,
Yeah.
just by having a different medium and being able to, like, apply that to your own work. And like I said, we will plan on doing this with other movies that we're gonna break down, and with other story structures. There will be other movies that use Save the Cat, and we will talk about that too. But there's
Hell yeah.
also the hero's journey, which is, I love the hero's journey. There's the 3
Me
act
too.
journey, story structure, I mean, excuse me, the 3-act story structure, which a lot of books are also do as well. I mean, movies, and books, use a 3-act structure. So we'll go over that, and talk about some of our favorite movies, because I love movies. I've always,
Yeah.
I don't know, I love movies. I could talk about movies. I quote lines in my day-to-day conversation.
Me too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's funny when people at work will catch it, like, "Oh, I don't know, what's it from?" And I'm like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and we'll do it again. I'm not sure what the next movie will be. But we'll try to pick some fun movies. Like I said, it won't be like every episode like this. Might just be like a little episode between here and there. But again, if you are listening and you need help on your query letter, please email us to at two writers in a bar at gmail.com, and just put on their query on air. We'll know what
Yeah.
you're talking about, and we'll give you our critique. We appreciate you guys for listening. And if you guys get a chance, if you could give us a star rating or leave a review, we would appreciate that, because it
That'd be
definitely helps.
huge.
Follow us on social media. We're on Instagram, we're on Twitter and YouTube. Please give us a follow. I know right now our social media is a little bit dead just because we've been on a break, but I plan on posting again. But yeah, other than that,
And
I
if
don't
anybody
know.
wonders, this is a soul stamp from Brandon Sanderson's Emperor's Soul, if
Oh,
anybody's wondering.
nice. All
If
right.
anybody wanted to notice.
Nice. All right, guys. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you guys in a couple of weeks. Bye.